Hey, how's it going everyone? I hope you're all having an excellent day. Welcome back to another episode here in Gregtech New Horizons. In the last episode, we invested in the XL gas turbine, essentially doubling our power generation rate. And we are burning nitrobenzene, which is much more efficient than burning regular benzene we used to burn for power. And right now we're sitting at a very healthy 41 million nitrobenzene, which is going to last us for ages and ages and ages. So I think we're at a stable position with power. And this episode, we're going to put all that power to use to fix a very old problem we've had since basically the beginning of this series. And I think most of you guys know what I'm talking about, right? I'm, of course, referring to ore processing, which again has stalled. Not due to a lack of input, though. We are completely backed up on ore processing. And yeah, doesn't this look familiar? So yeah, today I would like to get all of these machines moved over from the old base here into the new base in the void. And we're also going to make it expandable and, well, speed it up a bit for a start now that we have power. But right now we only have one or maybe two of each machine, like 2 centrifuges, but we're going to go for like, how many should we start with of each machine? How many is a sensible amount of each machine? I'm kind of thinking like 4 to start with. Is that too few? Maybe 8 machines of each? Is that too many? I don't know. We'll decide later on. We're going to go for more than one anyway. More than one thermal refinery, for example. More than one ore washing plant. More than one sifter. It's kind of going to depend on how patient I want to be this episode. Let's update our objective board here. Yeah, it's always nice being able to update this thing knowing that you've completed the previous objective. The XL turbine is now ours. In the last couple of minutes of last episode, we also started to smelt up about 750 HSSG, and that is for 6 blast furnaces. So we need 16 coils times 6 blast furnaces is 96 HSSG coils, which we're going to start crafting right now. And those are going to be used to upgrade these blast furnaces in the platinum line, which by the way has been running pretty smoothly now that we've upgraded the power. Just as a bit of a progress update, we're now at 5,000 platinum dust. Remember, it's been off for the longest time. 500 osmium dust, which is amazing. Plus 2,800 nuggets. 2,700 iridium, which isn't too bad either. There's a lot of iridium metal residue dust, which I'm not... Is that coming from the combs? Oh, you know what? I think that's in the ore processing subnet. And it's just not being sent to the platinum line subnet. Okay. Yeah, we have a couple of issues like that, like platinum metallic powder. We're going to have to sort that when we upgrade ore processing. But we'll fix all that. We'll address all of that today when we build our new ore processing facility. And I guess the first question is, where on earth are... Or second question. First question was how many machines? Second question is, where on earth are we going to place an ore processing facility? Decisions. I'm quite aware of putting too many tile entities, too many machines in the one location. So I do kind of want to spread out, and it's kind of awesome having a spread out base. Back in the overworld, I did want to go vertical, but I think in the void, it's kind of, I don't know, it just feels better to go wide instead of tall. One of the major downsides to this system right now is when the input is full, well, it all stops and the whole thing backs up. And even when this chest is full, you have to take out like 1 stack, and then it should start processing again. Like, yeah, it's starting to pull items again. For some reason, it doesn't like when this chest is completely full. So I want to have a massive input buffer, and that way we can just throw down the miners and it can just run the whole cycle of the miner without having to wait on existing stuff processing. Oh, this assembler again is stuck. It's stuck on the coils, but I think it's actually... wait, is it my fault this time? Is this an IV recipe? I bet it is, yeah. HSSG is IV recipe, and we're only supplying this with EV power. Okay, game, fair enough. You got me this time. It's my fault. It's in the wrong assembler, but I mean, we don't actually have an IV Circuit 3 assembler. We still only have this IV assembler here, which, yeah, I was kind of 50-50 on whether I wanted to do ore processing today or auto crafting, because we are going to have to craft a lot of machines to buff ore processing. And as you guys all well know by now, with all the complaining I've been doing over the last few episodes, our auto crafting stuff is just not up to par right now. I mean, look at this spaghetti. Look at this. Unacceptable. Yeah, we'll fix it eventually, as you guys know. I only have so much time. Like, it's just, it feels like this is just an infinite time sink. Anytime I want to do anything, it's like, oh, here's a week to do anything in GTNH. But that's kind of the way the game is right now. But I know what I signed up for. Let's save a bit of time, though, and switch out these coils with Thumbcraft. Aha, magic. We only have a few right now, but the rest are still crafting. But yes, I'm realizing this is a bit of a long intro, so let's just get started today. I'm looking forward to this though. Let's do this. Okay, so this is a little bit unconventional. I was just going to cut straight to a time lapse and build this thing in the main world. But I want to show you guys my thought process. So we're in a creative copy of the world, which is why I'm wearing infinity armor, obviously. We don't actually have infinity armor, of course, and we're in creative mode. Yeah, this is just a copy, but I'll show you guys what we have in the existing survival world. I don't know why I find that so difficult to say. Survival world? It's my Scottish accent, but yeah. I'll show you guys what we have so far, and we can compare that to what we have here as the initial prototype for the ore processing system. We're underneath the hives, which is the location I've decided on, which is where our new and final ore processing system is going to be. So yeah, where do we begin here? I think with any complex system we have to break it down, so I figured that there's going to be 9 different processes minimum, which the ores can potentially be sent through. We have macerators, ore washers, simple washers, chemical baths, thermal centrifuges, regular centrifuges, electrolyzers, multi-smelters, and sifting machines. Not every ore is going to hit every machine, so we're going to build subnets and filters to handle the item distribution. But before that, we have to figure out like positioning for all this stuff. I don't want to just start laying machines down and run out of space like we did before. So this time around, for example, the macerators are going to live on this platform. This is all chunk aligned, of course. Yeah, it's chunk aligned, and it's chunk aligned with our existing base. So yeah, everything is evenly spaced, and we have a 1 block center for every chunk. And so essentially the macerators are going to live on this platform, and we're going to build nothing in front of this except for macerators. So if we need more, then we'll just duplicate this platform and build more macerators in this square here, in this chunk here. Same for this chunk, same for this chunk. Nothing is going to live beyond this point in the map. The same thing is going to go for the ore washers, so we're going to have another platform next to this one, something like this. Although, on the other hand, should we leave a chunk of space? Is there any point to doing that? No, I don't think it's going to be necessary. I don't think we need to leave a full chunk, because we're leaving ourselves space in this direction, and each of the machines doesn't take up more than a full chunk of space. Like, we can fit multiple macerators in one chunk, like probably 9 macerators per chunk, 4 on each side. Maybe even more than that if we really cram them in, but we'll decide on the placement later on. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be necessary to leave more than 1 chunk of space, so we'll just tile this. Probably 4 times on this side of the tower, and then 4 times on this side of the tower. Wait, that only gives us 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 9 processes, 9 different machines, so it needs to be 5 and 4. But there is some specific specialized ore processing lines which we might also add, so yeah, it'll probably be 5 and 5 platforms, 1 on each side of the tower. And then yeah, what I'm thinking is we have the same design language. That's one thing I want to keep consistent through most of the base. We have some exceptions like the rings of flower. There is some things which are not the same. The hives are not the same as the rest of the base, but we have like a consistent theme. And what I mean by that is we have like this roof section which carries the AE cables, so we're going to continue that here, and this will carry the subnet cables and mainnet cables to send to each one of these platforms, and then each platform, each set of machines is going to have its own subnet. And then yeah, we'll just keep power underneath, and that should probably work out pretty well. And then we'll inside the main tower here, which is right underneath the hives processing area. Like, this is where this is where Diddy is, so it's like right below this. It's gonna work out so good. This is where the bee processing is, and then right below that we're gonna have the ingestion into ore processing here. So this is kind of gonna act like the control room we have in the overworld, where all the compressed chests are. Still don't have this thing completely figured out at this point, but the main thing is that we figure out the placement so that we don't build ourselves into a corner. That's one thing I always stress. And so, yeah, we do not want to build ourselves into a corner this time. So yeah, I think for now we have a solid enough design. This is going to take me a long time to copy into the main survival world. There is that word again, that phrase again. Yeah, just this tower here is like thousands of qubit blocks, so it's going to take a while. But we'll keep doing this one step at a time. First of all, to build this structure with all the correct amount of platforms, then we'll do the logic. Again, we're going to have input buffers for each stage, and then we'll invest and expand each machine, because it should just be a matter of plugging in the machines once we have all the logic in place, and yeah, just expanding this way infinitely so long as we have the resources to craft the machines. So yeah, without any further delay, let's get all this built in the main world. After finishing the prototype in the creative world, I took a schematic and got that placed in the survival world. And then all we had to do was craft and place blocks. This schematica mod is a real time saver for placing full blocks. The printer function will place any blocks in your inventory as long as it has a block it can place on. You do still need to have the items for it to place though, as it will consume them after they're printed. So it's great for full blocks, but any of the architecture blocks are not printed properly. These things sometimes just have a mind of their own and will place in whatever way the wind blows. But all this building did give me some more time to ponder the specifics of the ore processing logic. And so with the space laid out for the machines, I crafted up some more parts for the build, and I think we're ready to get started. Aha, so as you can see, I did go ahead and build the prototype in the survival world. I need to stop saying that. But yeah, we got 5 sections on each side for the machines. I did also go ahead and put a roof on it as well, which I think looks not too bad. Somehow a chicken survived as well. Yeah, so we got a roof on each side, and I also decided to add a basement down here, which is where the storage and the filtering is going to take place before the items are sent to the machines. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and do the logic on camera here together. And yeah, I think this is going to be the most fun part. We'll need to figure out all the wiring, and we do not want spaghetti, so I have a rough idea of how this is going to be. Let's see if it's all going to work out the way I envision. So what we're going to do is have our interfaces lined up here. This is 12 different interfaces, and we have a potential for 10 different locations. So each of these represent a different machine. Maybe we should add some signs just to keep us right. Yeah, and we'll do it in the order that the platforms are laid out. So the one furthest on the left here is going to be the platform furthest to the left. So this will be the ore washers down here. Although perhaps we want the ore washers closer to the center, because I think we're going to have a lot of these guys, and that means the platform on the end is going to end up quite large. And it might look a little strange if this one is like a really long platform and the rest are short. So yeah, hold on, let me get all these arranged. Okay, we got an initial order here. The next thing we want to do is wire all these into each platform. So each one of these will be its own subnet, and that also corresponds to the subnet which is here. So to make this a bit simpler and to get it out of this basement area, we're going to craft up some of the wireless connectors. I did already start to craft these, so we should have enough for 22. And that should give us enough for, yeah, 12 connections, right? Yes, 22 wireless connectors, and those are going to go right here. So the signs are actually in the wrong place, but I'll move those in a second. So yeah, wireless connectors are going to go above the interfaces. And then we need to also decide on a color for these as well. I guess I could have just done that. And one more. This is a spare one. Yeah, so each one of the subnets is going to get its own color. We are going to have some overlapping colors where the B subnet is already yellow, but I think we're going to have to reuse yellow because there's only so many cable colors in Applied Energistics. So we're going to use our dye farm here and use our bees to craft a bunch of flowers, or yeah, craft a bunch of dyes. And I think similar to our chemical area, we're going to keep... Oh wow, they actually generate glowflower. I didn't know that. We're going to keep the mainnet cables orange or black. So right now, all of our mainnet cables, as you can see here, are black or orange. Some of them down here, yeah, like supplying the fuel is orange. So orange and black is the mainnet. Blue is the subnet, which is going to remain. So I don't want to reuse those ones. But yellow, for example, which we use in bee processing here, will most likely have to reuse down here at ore processing. So I did batchcraft a bunch of covered cable. Probably nowhere near enough. We only have 200. Let's get another 1,000. Man, this takes so long to craft with these Certus rods. Yeah, look at this. This is a 24.5-second recipe at LV. I think our lathe is EV, but still, it's a very, very long time for Certus quartz rods. It's 2 rods for 1 quartz fiber, and then quartz fiber is 1-to-1 with cable. So it just takes forever to craft this stuff, which is why I always try to keep at least some in stock in our EE system. So yeah, we'll see how long an extra 1,000 takes for us to craft. But yeah, I guess we're going to go for light grey. Yeah, let's do light grey, red, cyan. I think, yeah, we can do cyan. Let's do pink. Let's do yellow. What other options do we have? Brown. I guess we can do brown. Does brown limonite work? Yes, it does work. We'll do brown cable for one of the channels. Let's also do... Oh, maybe lime. I think works with soapstone. Yeah, so thermal centrifuges are red casing, so let's go for red for the thermal centrifuges. Electrolyzers is kind of like an orange color, a kind of yellowy orange color. Let's go for yellow here. The sifting machine is like a blue, or like almost cyan, so let's use cyan here. This is not going to work out for every single machine. The macerator... Maceration stack casing is this, which is like a gold color. Let's do brown there. Brown for the macerators. Mainnet outbound. These two are... Well, this one is brand new. This is going to be different to the existing ore processing system. So we have 9 possible unique machines, right? And then we have this one here for ore processing outbound. This is everything that has been processed and is going to be sent back to the subnet, which stores all of the items. And then we've also got an additional outbound, which is going to be the highest priority. And this will handle things like platinum metallic powder dust, iridium metal residue dust that we saw at the beginning of the episode, which needs to be sent to the platinum line. And so yeah, this is going to go back to mainnet. So I guess back to mainnet we can use orange dye for this covered cable. Yeah, ore processing subnet, maybe we'll do as... Let's just use a neutral light grey for that one. Light grey for the outbound and orange for outbound. So we still have, what, 5 different colours to come up with? Let's go for pink for the multi-smelter. Simple washer. Maybe grey for the simple washer. And then we have 3 more. Yeah, this is light grey. This is normal grey. There's not much of a difference between them, right? It looks almost the same. We haven't used lime yet, have we? No, we haven't used lime. So we'll use lime for the chemical bath. Wait, maybe that should be light blue. Yeah, there isn't any light blue yet, so we'll use light blue for the chemical bath, and then lime for ore washing. I don't want to use regular, or like, yeah, normal blue, because that is subnet. And then we have 1 more here for the centrifuges. Purple? Yeah, that should work. I did switch the ore, or the chemical bath back to lime though, and the ore washer to light blue. That just makes a bit more sense. You kind of associate chemicals with lime or like acid. So yeah, lime makes a bit more sense here. So now what we have to do is connect up the wireless connectors. So there's going to be 5 on each side, right? Potentially. So we could technically put them right on the subnet, like on their platforms, but 1, I don't think we're going to have enough power for that, and 2, I think it will look a lot nicer if we have them originate back here, and then run all of the covered cable, yeah, like through this area, and we can see all the colors go into each different machine. So we essentially have to match these up, right? Pink is going to be multi-smelter, which is down the end. So we start off here with pink. This is going to be extremely tedious. Pink will be, yeah, let's use the one on the end here. And we'll keep this one on the inside so that we don't have to spaghetti up the cables, and this will go here. So yeah, pink, or maybe we should do the top one, this one. Yeah, we'll do it that way. So this is the furthest away, then second furthest away. The middle through here is going to be blue. Or wait, no, this is going to be orange. This is going to be mainnet. Yes, this is going to be mainnet, so we need some anchors here. Anchor. I cannot type and speak at the same time. Anchors right here to not connect the cable together. So this will be orange. We also need a mainnet connection here because some of the machines are going to output fluid, and we want that sent back to main fluid storage. And we also want to request some items from mainnet as well. So yeah, I think we do need a mainnet connection throughout all of this. So that will be orange. Probably going to have to be a dense cable eventually. And yeah, we'll have to link the wireless connectors down here. I also just remembered we're going to need an extra connection here to handle mainnet outbound and ore processing outbound. And basically to shuffle items between the various processes, right? So we actually do need an extra color, which we're going to make probably white as like a nice neutral, or maybe we go for a magenta. Now let's just use white here. This will be, I guess, our inbound connection. This probably is not making a lot of sense to you guys right now, especially if you haven't seen the first version of our processing setup. But yeah, hopefully with the colors and with it all wired in, it should make a lot more sense later on. So yeah, either way, we're going to have to add an extra one here for white. And this one for sure is going to have to be a dense cable because it's going to have to be essentially one connection per machine to connect the output. To filter between the different processes. We're also going to need some ME drives as well. Do we happen to have any of those? We don't. And we'll also need like some 64K storage cells. Should we go for 64K? Yeah, why not? Let's try and get another 10 64Ks. Oh boy, this is going to be expensive. Yeah, 40 HV circuits. Actually, it's not that bad. 157 MV circuits. It's well, it's quite bad, but we should get used to some of these higher tier crafts or more expensive crafts because we're gonna need it. Polyvinyl chloride sheets. That's just a buffer issue. That's one of the processes we have in the overworld still. So if we take this out, it's gonna refill the drawer. Yeah, there it goes. It's one of the last things we have to rebuild here in the void. But as I mentioned last episode, I think we're gonna do that on demand when we move it over. So yeah, 10 more 64Ks, and that will be for the buffer storage for each process. And then, oh yeah, I guess we're going to need some extra ones as well to hold the finished product, and that will probably sit up here somewhere along with a bunch of terminals. Is there anything else I'm overlooking here at this point, or do I just have to get this done? Yeah, it's going to be a lot of wiring, just basically connecting the colors. Oh, I guess we are going to want a bunch of storage buses as well. Let's get an extra 10 of those. We're missing some interfaces. We should be able to craft interfaces, no problem. Yeah, we can craft some interfaces and then get storage buses. And this is going to be essentially how we filter the items. So the logic is going to end up more or less the same as we have in the overworld, where the storage bus is going to be on the interface connected to the subnets. So this is going to be our inbound connection here. But let me first get all of the rest of the wiring in place, because it's going to be a lot easier to explain once that happens. Not too long later, we have some pretty good progress on this project so far. We still have a long ways to go, but I got everything wired in. I changed up some of the aesthetic, but it's all more or less exactly the way we had it. And yeah, you can see each of the wires will travel to each of the subnets. I realized that I also had to stagger these wireless connectors, which is no big deal, since they do also act as cable themselves. So It was essentially joining all the networks together when they were next to each other, but it was a simple enough fix just to add some cable anchor to separate them out. Yeah, the only one that still isn't wired yet is the white connection and the main net. I want to get all of the storage buses filtered because that is going to be an extremely tedious task in this as part of this project. So yeah, essentially what we have to do at this point is copy over all the filters. So for example, the sifting machine here in the old system is on brown. It's probably, I think the sifting machine is cyan. I already forgot. But yeah, you can see all the different ores that are to be sifted. It's mostly all purified stuff. Oh, and that reminds me, I didn't end up crafting those storage buses. We could take these ones, but I don't want to mess with or clear the filters before we have them copied over. So I think there's a way to copy them by using a data stick. And that should let us copy the data on the storage bus. Let's just try this out here. I've never actually tried this before, and I'm not sure it's going to work because of the capacity card. We might have to get a bunch more capacity cards for this. Oh yeah, that's right, they cost 1k ME storage components. Okay, let's get like 64 of these things. We're missing item processors. Wait, how are we missing item processors? We must have had those batch crafted. I guess we don't really use too many capacity cards. And I suspect we got quite a lot from loot bags. Do we at least have the item circuit tier 1? We don't. Okay, we're going to need this form and press recipe as well. And probably also the engraved gold chip, which is in the glass lens laser engraver. We should have one of those. Ah, yeah, we do. And it's empty as well, which is going to be our first pattern inside this machine. Item circuit goes in the forming press, and this one is going to be an assembler. Assuming we have assembler slots. We're quickly running out of assembler slots, but there's a couple here. I guess we'll stick it in this one for now. Again, all this is going to be changed when we redo auto crafting. Okay, we got some capacity cards here. I've never actually tried this before, but I think we just have to shift right click and then right click the next storage bus, and it should copy the filter. Oh, don't tell me I'm going to have to do this manually. Like, pin every item and then, yeah, drag it in from NEI to like, yeah, like do this. For every single filter, that's going to be such a nightmare. Especially for some of these ones like the macerator, like look at all these. Yeah, it's not working. Wait, maybe it works with the memory card? Wait, let's get a default applied energistics memory card here. Because the one we carry around is the advanced memory card. So maybe this is going to work. Successfully save settings. Does it work? Yes, perfect. Perfect. Okay, that's going to be much, much easier. Alright, let's actually start with outbound. This one is going to be a lot easier to show you guys how it works. So on the outbound, we have platinum nuggets, we have some osmium nuggets, we have some of the monazite and bastnasite, crushed ores, which we're just going to store, oil sands as well. We're not going to end up processing this because oil sands is a special case where it actually gives you a fluid, it gives you heavy oil, and we do not need this at all. So we're probably just going to end up trashing oil sands. So therefore it just goes straight to storage. Yeah, we got things like purified galena, purified sphalerite, which is used in making indium. So we want to store these as purified and not go any further. So we got these settings copied. There's also a second one here which has an ore dictionary card, which is this thing here. Let's also copy this. And do we have a spare ore dictionary card? What is it called? Filter card? Yeah, ore dictionary filter card, this thing here. So this will essentially match up with ore processing outbound, which goes back to main storage, or sorry, the ore processing subnet storage. So on here we want to place our storage bus, and actually we have two on this because we have the ore dictionary card as well, so we need a second interface, which we can do here. One of the reasons I left some space here. So we can plug this back into the white line, which also has its own ME controller. And this interface here is where we're going to ingest all the items. We'll do that in just a second, but yeah, let's go ahead and paste those settings. So we should see all the filters show up on this storage bus now, which we do. And then the second storage bus on this interface here is going to receive the ore dictionary filter card, and we'll paste in... Uh-oh. I think I hit Control C twice there. I know that a lot of you guys are probably going to reference this video for on how to do ore processing, or yeah, like a template on how to set up your own ore processing. So I'm going to make it easy for you, and I'll give you a timestamp right now to jump to an explanation. But I do intend to give a full run through once it's all built, because doing it in parts like this is not very easy to reference later on. So maybe similar to what I done with the bees, I'll try and put like a little cheat sheet together for all of these different filters. There's no way I'm going to be able to list every single item to filter, but for now, ore dictionary, we want to control V, and this just basically sends out anything that matches ingot, and it's matching the ore dictionary name. So for example, on steel, it's got ingot steel, but we have ingot wildcard, which matches any ingot. So essentially any ingot is going to be prioritized to enter this storage bus. Any gem, any dust, I think, as well. And then because we have the exclamation marks in front of dust impure and dust pure, these are not allowed to be sent here. So any pure and impure dusts will go elsewhere. We'll have specific filters for those. Yeah, now we're going to grab the ender chest, and this is basically going to stop, well, it's not going to stop ore processing here. Yeah, there's still a massive backlog here, but I'm going to grab the ender chest so that any future ores is going to go into our new system. And I'll grab the conveyor belt as well. So I crafted some huge platinum pipes, which is capable of 16 stacks a second, which should be way more than enough for the ingestion speed. So this is going to go on this interface down here, and this will get the ender chest on top of here eventually, but I don't want to flood the system with a bunch of ores just yet. So for now, we're just going to place a regular chest so we can do specific testing. Regular chest right there, and then conveyor module to pull from the chest into the interface. And I guess we're also going to have to give all these power as well. I'll change up the routing of this cable, it's not going to stay here, but just to give us some power in the networks, I'm going to do this for now. So, quartz fiber to pass the power, but not the channels. Not like that. Yeah, we're waiting on some more quartz fiber finishing right now. Again, the Certus quartz rods. And then we can just do something like this, and this should pass the power between all of the different networks. It's a bit overkill having this many connections, but just for symmetry reasons. And now we should actually see all of the, yes, all of the ME controllers now have power. All of the subnets have power, which means that the drives have power as well. And we should be able to place like, yeah, I want to have like an ME terminal so that we can see all of the storage. I don't have all those crafted just yet, so I'm going to place it on the outbound network so we can see where the ores go. So yeah, essentially when the items are ingested into this chest, it's going to go into this interface. And as we know by now, anytime you put an item in an interface, it's going to try to go to any available storage, which for this is going to be storage buses on each one of these networks. And then, yeah, the storage bus is going to place it in the interface on the subnet, and then it's going to try to go to any available storage, which, well, in the case of like the centrifuge, for example, is going to be the specific centrifuge ME drive. So when the items are filtered, it's going to go to their respective ME drives, and the location will be determined by the storage bus filter here. And I wanted them all front facing, so since we can reference them and we can change them, so I didn't want it like hidden away behind a wall somewhere. So on this one, for example, the one that we have filtered currently, I'm going to do the rest off camera since it's going to be more or less all the same thing, and then we'll recap at the end. Once we have this ME chest, craft another ME drive. Yeah, this is going to go to main ore processing storage, which again is going to be up in the terminal location up there. For now, we're just going to place it here with a 64K storage cell. So this again is storage for ore processing outbound, so everything that is already processed. For example, osmium and platinum nuggets, some of which we should have in here, platinum nuggets. So if we add this to our chest here, and say that's coming out of like the B processing, which also enters this chest, it's going to go in here, be ingested into the interface, and because this is the only place it can go, it should end up in these drives here because it's filtered here in the storage bus. And I can guarantee you this is going to work right now because these are the only two storage buses. It's yeah, it's going to be in here. I would be a bit worried if we didn't see platinum nuggets here. But yeah, we basically just have to make sure it's not filtered twice. And for the outbound ones specifically, we want these on high priority. Oh, already copied that over. Yeah, we want this on high priority. Everything else is just going to be default priority of 0. so that if it matches any of these filters, we want it to be sent out of ore processing first before it then chooses a different location, because some of them are also going to have like ore dictionary cards which match specific items like the purified galena and purified sphalerite, these two here. Some of them have any purified, and we want it to be prioritized here to outbound storage before it's sent, I don't know, macerated for example. We don't want it to be macerated, we want it to be sent to storage. Every now and then I put together an episode or part of an episode and I think, you know, I have no idea how this is going to turn out. Sometimes you just know that an episode is going to turn out decent, but this one I'm not really so sure about. There's a lot of rambling in this one, and I'm not really sure I'm making a lot of sense. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy all the filters here and get ore processing all constructed, and then we'll go over things at the end. I think I'm probably even going to move over all the machines as well. I'm not sure about crafting any more machines. We might have to get to that next episode, but I want to get all the filters and stuff in place here. So yeah, hopefully I haven't lost you guys and you can kind of see where this is going. So yeah, let me get the rest of this filtered and the machines built. So we made it to the other side. That's such a great track. I love that track so much. So yeah, 48 hours since I started the time lapse. There's a lot of footage I cut out since there's no way I could have included it all. But yeah, I basically just took my time here and got ore processing all finished off. At least the logic and the infrastructure build, which is the hardest, most time consuming part of this. I also did move all the machines from the overworld to the void. We still have to expand the machines and add more to parallelize each process. But yeah, everything important is now in front of us here. And I think it's looking pretty awesome. I added the neonite strips on the top here as well. And yeah, this thing is coming along nicely. So if you guys are here from the timestamp earlier in the video, then welcome, you're in the correct place. I'm going to try to do my best to explain ore processing from beginning to end. I did also put together that little quick start guide. So there was a lot of information. I may or may not have spent about 5 hours making and tweaking this thing. So yeah, I'm hoping it's going to be at least useful to get you guys started here. Again, there's no way I could have listed every single filter, but yeah, we'll go through things here in game, and we'll come back to that. I'll show you that in a second, but yeah, first of all, let me show you around the new sections of this ore processing system here in game. So we got a new walkway underneath here, which takes us into the filtering room. And a lot of this is going to look familiar to the beginning of the episode. There has been a couple of changes, mostly just to the electrolyzer and centrifuge, which I'll show you guys here. But more or less everything else should be the same. I added some, what are these, illuminated panels, I think they're called. Yeah, they just basically give off a light level, which makes it look a bit more colourful, a bit more lively, as if it wasn't already. So first of all, let me start by saying there's not necessarily an optimal way to set up ore processing. The way I have it here is not the only way, especially for some of the filters. To give you an example, we have a very robust system to generate oxygen from sugar beets from the crops. And therefore, if we check our subnet here, and because we're generating so much oxygen, there is dusts which I'm just going to leave as dusts, and we're not going to electrolyze just for the sake of power and efficiency to let some other things be processed in the machines. And we might add them later. The beauty of the way we have this set up is it's very, very easy to change and adjust the filters. But yeah, as an example here, kaolinite dust, you can electrolyze this for alumina, silicon dioxide, none of which we need since we have millions, and this comes from various other sources, and oxygen and hydrogen. This might be appealing to you if you don't have a great source of hydrogen or oxygen, but for us, since we do, we're just going to leave it as dusts here, and we might decide to process them later. So there's a couple of different cases like that, mostly in the electrolyzer, which give you fluid, which you might want to process the most efficient way if you're lacking it in other locations. But for some other things, like for example, eggs, no, not eggs, like for example, purified diamond, I would almost always recommend sending this through the sifting machine to give you the extra gems, because you are going to need exquisites for some stuff. That also goes for some of the other gems, you are going to need exquisites, so the sifter is a very important step. But essentially for some ores, there isn't necessarily the most optimal path. It kind of depends on what your needs are for your own base. So coming back to our quick start guide here, you can see I've listed every machine and some pointers and tips and tricks for each one. One thing I do want to mention is I'm not using any forge hammers, which is another option and honestly might be something we add down the line. The forge hammers can be used, for example, for purified into purified dust, like crushed purified into purified dust. It can also be used for centrifuged into dust, and it can be used, I think, for ore, which we're not going to get because the miners give us crushed. The miners give us this one, the crushed variant. The forge hammer, unlike some of the other processes, doesn't give you any byproducts, but it is very, very fast. Similar to the simple washer, it doesn't give byproducts. It's essentially a way to get purified instead of the ore washer. Like taking our diamond here example again, we can send it through the ore washing plant to give us a chance at graphite, or we can send it through a simple washer to still give us the purified, but we don't get the chance at graphite, and we can still send the purified later into the sifter. So it's up to you whether you want to use the ore washer or the simple washer for various processes. One additional thing you might notice on the quick start guide is we have 10 different locations, 10 different processes, 10 different subnets, whereas here in game we have 11. There's actually 12 here, but one is unused, so this doesn't have any storage bus or anything being sent here. This is for the platform on the end. We don't have anything on there. So we have 11 locations here, and that is because I've left out mainnet outbound from the quick start guide. This is kind of specific to this world and the way we have things laid out here in this base. It's not technically necessary, and we could actually get away with not having this at all, but I've just filtered palladium metallic powder dust, rarest metal residue dust, iridium metal residue dust, and platinum metallic powder dust, all inserts into the platinum line. And in fact, while I remember, let's go ahead and add those to the subnet at the platinum line. And yeah, as you can see, we now have the HSSG coils on these blast furnaces. Not the best looking coils, but it definitely gives us the energy discount, so we benefit from that. So yeah, to add the ores here to the Platinum Line subnet, we have our interfaces and storage buses here, which is how we supply the items. So we want to, yeah, I think we want it in this interface here. So orange is mainnet and black is the subnet for Platinum Line. So we can just add it to here and request platinum metallic powder dust, iridium metal residue dust, rarest metal residue dust, and palladium metallic powder dust, all of which we get from ore processing and will be sent into the Platinum Line to be processed. Again, it's technically not necessary to have that extra additional filter there. And the reason it's not necessary is because of some extra logic you can see up here, just next to the filters. We'll go through that in just a second, but this is basically our interface between mainnet and the ore processing subnets. And yes, I know there's a lot of subnets and things going on here, but I did also change the ore processing outbound from light grey to green, just to make it a bit easier, because all of this green here belongs to this network, and it was all light grey, and I didn't want you guys to get confused with white here, which is the inbound subnet. Okay, so instead of jumping around so much, let's go through the quick start guide here. Starting with the macerators, you can see I have three storage buses, 2 with individual item filters. When I say that, I mean like the storage bus is filtered for each individual crushed ore, or whatever it may be for each process. And then the third one has the ore dictionary filter card, which is listed on the quick start guide. So this will pick up any ores. We're not likely to get any ores because the miners give us crushed, as I mentioned. But just in case they do, any ores will be prioritized here. And then also, it will exclude oil sands, as we saw earlier, since that gives us heavy oil. And it also picks up all of the crushed centrifuged. So essentially anything that comes out of the thermal centrifuge. Yeah, basically any of this stuff here, which can only be macerated after it comes out of the thermal centrifuge. So that just catches everything in the macerator. So yeah, we have a lot of different things here. I'll go through it kind of slowly. We have a lot of things here being macerated, some of which can probably benefit from going through a forge hammer, just to avoid the byproducts and speed up the process overall. Which we might add the forge hammer, but yeah, for now we just have it all being macerated. And yeah, that's basically everything in the filters. There is one more here. We also add purified for a lot of this stuff. So not everything that is purified can be sifted, some of which we just want to macerate. So we're doing that here for a lot of this stuff. I hope that this is easy enough to follow. There we go. That's all the macerator steps. So again, just to clarify, any input going into the white network is going to be sent to the storage bus, into the interface, and then into the maceration storage. And the maceration storage can technically be anywhere. You can, in theory, have the machines right beside this thing. I didn't necessarily make this very efficient in terms of resource cost. It's very resource hungry, the way that we have this set up. But in terms of operational efficiency, we haven't really sacrificed anything, because applied energistics item movement is essentially instant. So it doesn't matter how far away the cables run. It's the same travel time to get to the machine. So yeah, when it goes to the storage bus, everything that has to be macerated should end up here. But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. The next one on the list is the ore washer. I kind of already mentioned briefly about the ore washer, but keep in mind here that some of the filters are not 100% optimal. In fact, I can almost guarantee you that I've missed some filters, or some things are in the wrong place. But this was from the old legacy system, so I did go through each and every filter here as I was making the guide, just to double check things, but there is still the possibility that I've missed something, or yeah, that we discover something that we need later down the line, which has to be processed a different way. So yeah, this will be in a constant state of change over the next, well, the rest of the series, I suspect, until this becomes obsolete. Which it will at some point, I think. If we decide to go far enough in the pack, this ore processing system eventually becomes obsolete. Yeah, next one is the simple washer. Again, it's kind of for things that we want to end up purified, but not necessarily, we don't necessarily need the byproducts from them. So we just send them through the simple washer for speed. And there's also impure dusts, which I have in the second storage bus down here. And this is for things like impure coal dust, impure sulfur, lazurite, sodalite, netherrack, and stone dust. So impure dusts you get after you macerate crushed if you don't decide to ore wash or thermally centrifuge. So the impure dusts you can either centrifuge again for a chance at a byproduct, or you can simple wash. So this specific storage bus is to catch the things like netherrack dust, which we're going to end up with millions of, and there's not really any need for netherrack dust. And if we look here at the time for the centrifuge, it's 39.2 seconds at ULV, so it is overclocked a couple of times since we're running our machines at EV, but that's still a couple of seconds for an 11.1% chance at sulfur dust. And we absolutely do not need that extra chance at sulfur dust, especially to slow down the machine a couple of seconds. So we just simple wash for, yeah, like 5 ticks to get the netherrack dust. And we might even just trash netherrack dust, to be honest. But I have also went ahead and set up some super chests here, which should be on void overflow. And this is similar to the thing we have in main item storage in the main base. Over here, for example, next to our disk drives, we use super chests for mostly the crop outputs, for things like sugar, for things like glowstone, for things like sand, and we can void overflow. It's essentially just a bulk storage option, so similar to the ones that we have in the main item storage back here. We have these on the green net, so this is the outbound network, and we have the sticky cards on here. High priority, so they will be prioritized to be stored in the super chests first, and yeah, any excess will just be voided. And yeah, that applies for things like netherrack dust, like magnesium dust, silicon dioxide, stone dust. And in fact, we used to use drawers for this. As you know, we're moving away from drawers, so I do have all these drawers from the old system in the overworld. We can in fact put these in the ingestion point, which is right on the ender chest. So if we swap this out with a drawer, make sure this is on import, and place the drawer down here. Oh yeah, you can see the speed of the IV conveyor. Look at the tooltip up there. Look how fast that stone dust is being sent into the system, and we should see it in the super chest down here, which we do because of the sticky card. So this is the only destination that stone dust can be placed in the subnet here. So yeah, we'll empty out all these drawers here and we can get rid of these. But yeah, one other thing to mention about the simple washer, I did mention this in the quick start guide, but you do want to pay attention to the priorities here. The priority for this one, this impure one, is 500, and that essentially just needs to be higher than the centrifuge. The centrifuge has a filter which will collect any dust impure, which basically matches these dusts here, but because this one is on 500 priority and this one is on 0, these specific dusts which are filtered in this storage bus will end up here, even though this captures any dust impure. Basically any other dust impure ends up in the centrifuge, and only these ones will be simple washed. Okay, so next process is the chemical bath, which for us is lime green. For this one I have sheldonite, meteoric iron, platinum, nickel, certus quartz, and thorium. So in the overworld we used to use single block chemical baths. I've switched to using the ore washing plant, which has 3 different modes. You can either use it as a chemical bath, you can use it as a simple washer, and you can use it as an ore washer. So I went ahead and added recipes for the ore washers, both because we're going to need them in the future and to craft 2 more here. One to use as the chemical bath and one to use as a simple washer, which we used to just do in single blocks. And yeah, all you have to do is hit them with the screwdriver to change the mode. So this one is our simple washer. So for the chemical bath specifically, this one is kind of a special case which I've not got around to setting up yet. Things like platinum ore, as you can see, unlike a lot of ores, have a chemical bath process option. This will give us platinum metallic powder dust along with the purified, but this does also cost mercury, so we need a way to make mercury, and we need a way of supplying mercury to the machine over there. So we don't have any mercury production or sodium persulfate, which is another fluid we need to automate and send to the chemical bath. But we do have a way of sending them through the subnets, which is handled with that logic up there. But first of all, let's go through the next process, which is the thermal centrifuge. Yeah, for us it's on the red subnet, and this is mainly just for byproducts, either from the thermal centrifuge itself or for the next process of maceration after it's been thermally centrifuged. Remember, this gives us crushed centrifuged, which is caught by the maceration ore dictionary card here. So yeah, any crushed centrifuge coming out of the thermal centrifuge gets sent here. So pretty simple filter for this one. Yeah, next one is the purple for regular centrifuge. We have one ore dictionary card picking up all the impure and pure dusts. And the second one here picks up any regular dusts which we might want to centrifuge for extra byproducts. Here there is a lot that I've left out of the filter just for the sake of speed, just to free up the centrifuge for the impure and pure dusts. But for this one here, I also have it connected to mainnet. So over here on the mainnet outbound, we have another wireless connector right here, which is connected to this one. And that means we can plug in some interfaces and request all of these specific dusts. So these are just duplicate filters to the storage bus right here for things that we want to centrifuge. But for example, things like black granite dust, we're also making black granite from black stone lily, one of these crop fields right here, and that is sent to the ender chest into main item storage, into one of the super chests down there. So that means the majority of our black granite dust is never going to see this storage bus. We do get some from ore. We will get some black granite dust from ore, which is caught by the storage bus. And by the way, this one should be... yeah, this storage bus here for the dusts should be high priority. I should point out even higher priority than the ore processing outbound, because this one will collect any dust. This is just on 1 or 0 priority, and this one we want to be higher because we want these dusts to be centrifuged. So for things like black granite, some of it is going to be caught in ore processing, but the majority of our black granite dust is going to be in the main net. So we pull it from these interfaces here, and we have some conveyors to import into the subnet and then into the centrifuge. Next one is the electrolyzer. We're getting through this slowly on the yellow channel, and for this one we have one storage bus. This is very, very similar to the centrifuge, where we're just taking some dusts and we're getting some extra byproducts. This one again is on 2000 priority so that it's higher than the outbound. And again, we're pulling from mainnet. So we have another wireless connector on, yeah, above here I think it is, just so we can have the illuminated panel right there. But we have a mainnet connection, and we're pulling all of those dusts into the interface and then into the subnet and then into the electrolyzer. Yes, the multi-smelter, which is on the pink network. This one again is for extra things which we don't necessarily want to process. For example, chalcopyrite we can electrolyze into copper, iron and sulfur, but we don't necessarily need the extra iron and sulfur. And to save the electrolyzer from processing chalcopyrite, 8.4 seconds, we instead just send that through the multi-smelter, which is effectively just a furnace, and we turn that into copper ingots instead. So we have quite a lot of the alternate basic metal dusts in here, things which will give us like nickel, iron, tin. Yeah, like cassiterite, sand and dust both give you tin. Malachite and chalcopyrite both give you copper. Yeah, iron and pyrite both give you iron ingots when you smelt. So arguably an optional step, but I have included it here. And then the final one is the sifting machine, which I would say is not optional. This is on the cyan channel. And yeah, it's used for all of the gems. Things like our purified diamond, things like ruby. All the Thumbcraft gems are also important to be sent through a sifter, just to increase the byproducts and to increase the yield overall. But yeah, that basically is all of the machine steps. The only other thing, which I guess we saw earlier, is the ore processing outbound, which collects all of the regular dust, all of the gems, all of the ingots. Again, this filter here is on the quick start guide, and then we also have the other storage bus on galena and sphalerite, and some of the other things we want to filter out here. Additionally, I've also added a buffer chest, and this doesn't go anywhere. This is on the lowest priority on the ingestion white network. And this is for, like, say for example we reach a new planet and we get access to like nether star ore, which we do not have yet. Nether star ore is not in any of the filters, and so it wouldn't have anywhere to go. So to prevent the ender chest from filling up with nether star ore and backing up the rest of the system, anything that isn't filtered is just going to go into the buffer chest. We're going to come down here and see, for example, unfiltered items like mining pipe or crushed lapis. That shouldn't be in there. I think maybe I added that in there. But anything unfiltered will be here, we'll add it to the storage buses, and yeah, then we can send it to the correct machine for processing. So the next thing I want to mention is the logic up here, basically how we're interfacing with the main net. So blue cable is the subnet, and then we P2P into the main network, the orange, and that's how we're given this wireless connection down to here to give us the main net connection in this room. And then we're also given a connection to this terminal, so we can see all of our main net items here. And then the green net is the outbound network, which used to be light grey. That's this one here. So green net again has all of the finished products, basically everything that has been processed by the ore processing subnet. So green net here has its own ME controller, and it also has a bunch of ME drives. This is how we are storing all of the finished items here. And then, yeah, around the other side as well. And we also have the super chests connected to green net back here on the storage buses. So the green net is basically just a big storage network. So similar to the platinum line, we have a storage bus on the main net connected to an interface on the green net. So this allows us to extract only, and we can see all of the items in the green network inside our main network when we open this terminal. Like for example, 4.1 million alumina dust. Pretty much all of that is in block container cells in here. All of this alumina dust belongs here in the green network. We've used storage bus on interface in a bunch of different locations, but that's essentially what's happening here. The second one is the opposite way around, so we have the storage bus on the green network. On the highest priority, this should actually be 3000. So nothing is currently filtered here, this is on insert only. So this is for things like that we don't necessarily want to set up a duplicate super chest of. So let's say for example, carbon dust. We store 1 million carbon dust here, but we can also potentially get this from like processing diamonds, I think give you carbon dust in ore processing. So we might want to send that to here, to this storage destination, instead of setting up a duplicate super chest in the ore processing subnet. It's kind of an irrelevant connection point, since that effectively just duplicates what we're doing right here on the main net outbound. So we could also just add it here. And in fact, this one is technically not necessary to send from the green network to the main network. But these two on the right hand side here are necessary. And this one, unlike on the left hand side, is going to the white network or the ingestion network. So basically this one right here. And both of these are for fluids. So we need to be able to send fluids back to mainnet. Since if we check our electrolyzer here, remember some of the electrolysis recipes give us things like fluorine, things like oxygen and hydrogen, which end up in the output hatch. And by the way, for all of these machines, we're using ME hatches and buses, and all of those go on the white network. So all machine outputs are on white, and all inputs are on their specific colors. And we have advanced stocking buses here, which I actually went ahead and pulled from the platinum line since we had a few there. And we don't need the functionality of the advanced stocking bus at the platinum line. So I switched those out with regular stocking buses at the platinum line. And here at ore processing, we can pull everything with the advanced stocking bus. So this will pull everything from the electrolyzer subnet into the machine and electrolyze it whenever it can. So yeah, for the fluids, we need to be able to send this back to main fluid storage, since we do not have any fluid storage on ore processing subnets. So again, because we're using white network for all of the outputs, we can put a fluid storage bus and then a dual interface to ingest into the main network. So this is ore processing send to mainnet for fluids. This should actually be on, I just noticed, should be on insert only. So yeah, because this is the only storage destination for fluids, all of it, when available, is going to go back to mainnet and be sent to main fluid storage. Most of the time though, fluid storage on the main network is going to be full, so it's just going to cache infinitely in the output hatch. Like for example here, it looks like we're capped on oxygen already, so it's just going to stay in this hatch, and whenever we need oxygen, it will be sent through the fluid storage bus there. And then finally, the mainnet send to ingest network for fluids is the opposite way around. So this is sending from the main network into the subnet. And this one has got a fluid export bus, and this is going to be used for sodium persulfate and also mercury, which if you'll remember is for the chemical bath processes. So we need to send those to these machines over here, which we'll do next episode. But sodium persulfate and mercury are going to be made elsewhere, and basically on mainnet. So we're going to send it from mainnet into the white network and then into the machine. So yeah, that's basically our 4 access points and how we send all the items and the fluids to where they need to be. And I think also a good wrapping up point for this episode. This took this took a mammoth amount of time to set up, and to be honest, I'm kind of hoping that it's alright. We could probably test it out here and just place the ender chest on. I have done some basic testing here. I did see some mining pipe in here, which should end up in the ME chest for anything that is unfiltered, because this doesn't have a valid location. So this done its job properly. And so yeah, now we should see all the items appear in the correct subnets, and we can turn on all the machines here to try to get through some of the backlog. Although, yeah, today was really all just about getting the infrastructure in place. So we need to add many more machines. But yeah, as I said, it's very easy to add more machines once we have them crafted, because we have the advanced stocking bus, right? So we can just pull everything from an already filtered subnet. Let's go ahead and switch on our ore washer. Wow, did you see how fast that was? Or wait, was that the simple washer? Yeah, that was the simple washer. We can switch on the chemical bath. Oh no, we can't switch on the chemical bath. This is the one that needs the mercury. This is the only one we don't have operational right now, but the rest we should be able to turn on. So coming back over to the overworld, really, I mean, I got all the rest of fluid storage removed from here, and I got rid of all the wiring, or at least I thought I did. I missed 2 cables down here. So all of fluid storage is now gone. All of, well, most of this room is now gone. We have to still add the functionality for these circuit components, but this is now irrelevant. The old chemical room is now gone as well. The old platinum line is also gone and destroyed. I forgot to fix this when I took out all the machines a couple episodes back, but you know, it's like a relic now. It's a museum exhibit, I guess. What else do we have? I think all that remains now is auto crafting, which might be something we do next episode. All of this down here is now irrelevant. Ore processing is now gone. There is, by the way, one more hatch here which has a bunch of fluids in. Yeah, there's like 10 million fluorine in here, which I don't really want to void. But other than that, all the rest is gone. We can remove this cable. We can reclaim all this stuff. We still have the chests to move, actually. Like, all these are still pretty much full. So I'll get those moved over between episodes. But yeah, other than that, the only thing that remains... Yeah, old benzene is now gone as well. I mean, this place is looking a shell of its former self. The only thing that remains is the clean room. This is the only thing we actually use here, and auto-crafting. Other than that, everything else is now obsolete, is now gone. And we can soon move the turbines, the power as well. Yeah, it's so empty running around here now. It's kind of crazy to think about how much stuff we've already moved over. Wow. We're getting through this though, very slowly. We're getting through this, and we're almost at the point where we can start to check out some new content. I know that the last few episodes has been treading some old ground, so I really appreciate you guys sticking around through that. But I think it's been fun. I've definitely enjoyed myself. By the way, we're now capped on nitrobenzene. Yeah, a lot of it is treading old ground. We can kind of say that we've completed ore processing, but it still needs some upgrades. So yeah, still lots of changes to be made here, but we'll handle that in the coming episodes. I just noticed this block as well. But that's going to wrap up this episode here of New Horizons. Have an absolutely fantastic weekend, everyone, and I hope to see you all in the next episode.